So the first thing after running VirtualBox on whatever your host operating system is, to go and create a new virtual machine. So the name of the virtual machine, Kali Linux-Udemy, for example. So the path that this machine and all its files are going to be installed, the type of the operating system, which is Linux, and the distro. And because Kali Linux is derived from Debian, we can choose Debian 64-bit. Go next, and I usually assign 4096 megabytes, so about 4 gigabytes of memory to the guest operating system, which is Kali right now. Next, so create a disk, create a virtual disk now. Let's create a new disk, and the default disk type is VDI. Next, dynamically allocated or fixed size. So if you don't know this, this is how VirtualBox is going to reserve or make it dynamic in regards of the disk that you want to create for your operating system or guest operating system. So if you choose dynamically allocated, the disk will be increased as you go on. For example, if you assign 200 gigabytes to your disk, it will be at first, for example, 2 gigabytes or 10 gigabytes, whatever. And if you store files and you create files, you install apps, this will be increased dynamically up to 200 gigabytes. But in the fixed size option, the whole 200 gigabytes will be reserved and occupied on your host disk. So we choose dynamically allocated because we are going to have more space to create other virtual machines and get them dynamically increased. So click next. So the path to the VirtualBox disk, as you see, this is my user tube, desktop, VirtualBox VMs, Kali Linux Udemy, this is the name of the machine, and Kali Linux Udemy.vdi, which is our disk. So just like a real machine, which you have a hard disk, you are going to create a disk for your virtual machine. I usually put, for example, 200 gigabytes because we are dynamically assigning the disk to the machine. So I don't want to, for example, put 20 gigabytes and get shorted later on, and I have to go for the troubles to increase my hard disk, attach some other disk to it, and repartition the whole operating system again. So for that reason, I choose a big number like 200 gigabytes. So I have enough space to work with my machine. So create, the machine is created, and we have to go for some settings. So here you can change whatever you want. Shared clipboard, which is really important. You want to share between your guest and host. So bidirectional, drag and drop. You can add description. You can choose disk encryption to encrypt your VDI image. So here you can change the memory size, the boot order, other options, processors. You can assign whatever number of cores you want, and some other tweaking options. So the display, the storage, which is really important, this is our disk, and because I'm SSD, my real hard disk on my laptop is SSD, so I choose solid state drive. But here is important, this is the disk that you should put your ISO file into. So the ISO file of Kali Linux should be inserted here. So please open your browser here. Let me just navigate to the kalilinux.org/downloads. So navigate to this page, and here is the ISO file. So I wait some seconds, you pause the video and go and download this file and continue the installation with me. Okay, I assume that you have downloaded either the 64-bit installer here or the 32-bit installer. And if you don't want to go through the installation as we are going now, go and download the, if you have VMware, download the VMware images, or if you are VirtualBox, for example, navigate to this page and get the installed VirtualBox OVA, and you can import this image into your VirtualBox appliance. And after you download this, you will get an OVA, and you can go for, so this is the VMware, the VirtualBox is here, the OVA. And after download, you can go in File, Import Appliance, and address the OVA here. So you're going to import the virtual machine and no installation is required. But I highly recommend you to, if you haven't done the installation, at least do it once, so you'll be familiar with all the installation stuff. So that's it. We have the ISO image now, and we can go through the installation process. So let me just address the ISO file. So click on Settings, go to Storage, go here on the image, the disk image, and choose a disk file and go to the address of your ISO file. But I have already the Kali Linux installer address saved here, so you go from this one. But I go through the ready link. So the network is NAT. Your virtual machine will have an IP address, private IP address of 10.0.2.15, I think, and you're going to be NATed behind your actual IP address. So if I get my IP address here, sudo ifconfig, so my IP address is 17, and my virtual machine will be NATed to this address by the NATing system that VirtualBox implements. And you can add other network interfaces, and I will show you that we need some other configurations here regarding connecting two virtual machines internally with each other. But for now, let's move forward with the other options. The USB, the shared folder is important. This is the folder that is shared between your host and guest. So in Linux, I do temp. So temp folder on my host machine, the machine that I'm working on, is going to be mounted on my guest machine at the address of /mnt, and I click auto mount to be mounted automatically on the guest machine. But on Windows, you can, for example, assign, and you can choose other folders here and choose the mount point on the guest machine. For example, you can choose // for example, temp, and put this address or folder name and make it mountable on /mnt. But here my guest machine is Linux, so I put /temp, and the user interface, which is not important for us for now. So start the machine and go for the installation. It's okay. So as you see, we have graphical install and other options here. Go for the graphical install. And momentarily you are going to choose whatever language you want. So select a language. I always choose English. The location is not important, or you can choose your location. So the keyboard, American English. Choose whatever keyboard you want. That's the default installation. So it's downloading the packages that are needed for the installation. So you see, Partman is for partitioning and other applications. Detecting network. We are going to configure our network, which is NAT. So DHCP will assign IP addresses automatically to this installation process. As you see, the DHCP is configured successfully. So the host name, this is the name of your system. So Kali Linux -Udemy. You can put whatever name you want, no domain name for now. Full name of the user, I put the Udemy user, so my username is Udemy, the account name is Udemy, the password is password. You choose a secure password, but here I choose password. Setting up the clock through NTP protocol. So time zone, I choose Eastern. Okay, so here is the partitioning part. You can go and use the entire disk. You can go and do LVM, which is logical volume management. You can encrypt your disk here through encrypted LVM. So let's move forward with the encrypted installation. So whenever you get some virtual private service or something on the cloud, you can encrypt your disk so your data is protected. This is the disk that we virtually created. So you see all files in one partition, or you can separate the home folder. This is partitioning stuff. Separate home, var, temp, and others. But I choose in one partition. Are you sure? Yes. So this is erasing our disk because we are doing a secure installation and encrypted disk. It needs to empty the whole drive or write zeros or some trash stuff to our disk, so nothing is recoverable. You can cancel this process and continue because it takes a lot of time and our disk is just raw. We don't need any anti-recovery process. So put the password. I put the password of password. You put some secure password for yourself. I say all my disk. This is for some dual OS installation and stuff, in cases that you want Windows and, for example, Linux and your virtual machine or your laptop be dual boot, but we don't. So finish the disk changes, write changes, yes. So you see the partition formatting is in process, and installing the base systems. One of the benefits of working with Linux operating system is that you see what is going on behind the scenes. So this will increase your knowledge from an end user to a technical user, and I highly recommend you to install Linux operating system as the main OS on your computer or on your laptop. And if you need Windows, you can go through the VirtualBox and install your Windows there, but it's not mandatory. As I told you, I just recommend these notes due to my experience. So I will fast forward the video and I will come back after the installation is almost over, because it's just installing different packages and we don't need to see them. So here we have the installation software selection part. So the desktop environment packages, XFCE is a desktop environment which is really fast and cool. I use XFCE myself, but you can choose GNOME or KDE if you want. And collection of tools, the top 10 tools of Kali Linux, the default recommended tools available in the live system. So you can choose large. It will install a lot of packages and probably you might need internet connection to do this, but we are going to move forward with the default installation and install apps as we need them. So continue. So the installation begins. It retrieves a lot of packages from your ISO file, which is the DVD installation on physical machines. But here we choose ISO because this is a virtual environment. So I will fast forward the video after most of the packages are installed. So the installation is almost over and we are going to finish the installation. There is some 2 or 3 steps, I think, like installing the Grub bootloader. So it says install the Grub bootloader, yes. So the Grub is the first, let's say, software that handles the boot process for you and loads your kernel into the memory. So we install it on our hard disk, the first partition I mean, dev SDA. So finishing the installation, configuring VirtualBox, get SDKMS. As you see on the previous lecture, we installed this package. So the installation will be done momentarily. So since this is taking some time, please navigate to this address and download the VirtualBox/VirtualBox and the version of your VirtualBox, which is in our case 6.1.16. So you see, if you navigate to this address, all the RPM packages, the Debian packages, the Windows exe file, the DMG of the OS X, so everything is, also the extension packs, everything is here. But we are going for VBox Guest Additions ISO. This is the file that you should mount on your virtual CD drive on every guest machine that you install. And after that, you should go through the installation files. I will show you. And this will help you through some driver problems, some graphic cards problems on your guest machine. So the installation is a best practice. So the installation is complete and we can go and reboot the system. So on mounting the file system. So as you see, the encryption password is prompted here. Put the password of password or whatever password you have set up on your OS installation. So the login prompt, I say Udemy, password of password, and momentarily our operating system will be up and running. So as you see, the OS is minimized, the display is not that big. Let's insert the guest additions. So the disk is mounted. Copy all that, go to the desktop, create a new folder here, call add, for example, paste the files. So let's open terminal here. I zoom in so you see. So go for sudo /. So the installation goes like this on Linux, on guest Linux OSs. On Windows, you just run this exe file, or if it is 64-bit, if your guest machine is 64-bit, you can go with this file. But on Linux, this is what you do. Let's run Linux additions. So vbox linux additions.run. The password of Udemy, put the password of password. Do you wish to continue? Yes. Some file is missing, no problem. Installing additional modules. So yeah, it will be replaced until the system is restarted. So sudo reboot -f. Let's reboot the operating system here. The normal boot. Put the password of disk encryption here. Set up successfully. This dragon avatar shows the progress bar here, and momentarily we are going to have our operating system up and running. So Control F, user Udemy, the password of password. Still, we don't have this full screen window here. And let's, yeah, Control F, it needed some refresh. So Control F to have full screen here. As you see, the screen is maximized and everything is okay. Delete this file, unmount. It is unmounted. You can just, yeah, exit it from here, force unmount. So mine was stored here because I choose the disk on the previous installations. So in your case, when you download this guest edition, go and choose the correct path for this ISO image, just like the Kali Linux that you did, and move forward with the installation as I did. So there's one thing that I want to tell you. Close this machine, power off. So let's go to the VirtualBox panel, and it is take snapshots. Snapshots are real great because they have the minimal size possible, for example 2 megabytes or 10 megabytes, whatever, but they save your current state, and you can move forward and do some dangerous, for example, operation, install some malware, test something, whatever it is, and you can then restore your snapshot. So this is my current state, everything is okay. I take a snapshot and call it snap 0. So snapshot after the installation and guest additions configured. So I put a description here. So as you see, this is my current state and this is a snapshot. And whatever happens to this state here, for example, if my OS gets corrupted or whatever, I can just go and restore this file and my OS will be up and running with that state on that time again. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next lecture.